show you how to modify captions on project level, element level, and translation for both. So what we're going to do is create a brand new project here. It's a Titan Web project. And then I'm going to go ahead and just call it captions. Simple. Alright, so once we've got our captions here, I want to talk about how they affect element-wise and how they affect all the project-wise. So let's say I take an input field here, and I'm going to take this input field and then I'm going to drag another input field but of a different type below it, so like that. Alright. Now, if I click on the gear icon here, I can go over to the captions and say, I don't know, I'm just going to put something in here. So I'll say hashtag, I'll call it element level mandatory. Alright. So now if I click save and click preview, you'll be able to see that once I tab out of it, I should make it mandatory first, so be sure to do that. Alright, so let's say mandatory. Alright, so once you've got it here, I tab in or tab out, and you can see that's an element level mandatory. But now if I look at this over here, the second one, and I go and do the same behavior where I make it mandatory, and then I preview, it will hold what we call project level mandatory. So this one is standard, is mandatory field. This one is my custom element level mandatory. So how can I change this to project level? Well, it's relatively simple. You go over the gear icon, you head over to site elements, and then you've got something called captions right over here. So when you click on it, and now I can change this. I can say project, and I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. I'll say project level mandatory, and you've got all the different captions available here that you can modify. So now if I click save, click preview, and what you'll find is that this one here will still hold its own because I've customized it to that specific element, but this one over here has now changed to project level mandatory. And then if I drag any other element over, let's say I drag another input field of the same type, but remember this one does not have a custom caption for it, and then look, if I make it mandatory and I click preview, and then I tab out of it, you can see it's a project level mandatory, whereas this one is its own in the element level mandatory. So hopefully all of that made sense. And I guess, again, the captions for field level are here, but for project level, you'll find them under site elements and then captions, and that's where you can modify them. And sometimes you obviously need to translate them in a different language as well. That's a fair enough assumption. So in that case, what you do, you go over to Tools, and you flick on translation. And then when you choose your translation, let's say I choose French, add that language, you will have your project captions available here, which you can change them in my case here French, but it can be your language that you wish to choose. And that's pretty much it. That's how you change your project captions per project or per element, and then have them working even if translation is required. And yeah, that's it. This is how it's done. If you don't know how to do the translation, then I recommend you watch the translation video on that as well.